Oh my. Welcome everybody to the show. Hope everybody's doing great. And it looks like we are good to go, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness, good grief. So much work goes into each and every single one of these episodes in the series Movies About Love. Never did this before, but it's been wild. You may think just 10 episodes. No. There are hours that go behind the scenes collectively because I can't do it, Whenever I have time, I put together these things, and it's quite the sacrifice for your viewing pleasure. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. Welcome to today's final episode 10 of Movies About Love. This beautiful final episode will be going over one of the best movies about love. That's right, House of Flying Daggers. A very passionate and tragic movie that I highly recommend for everybody to watch. If you haven't seen it already. It's not just another kung fu flick. If you kind of put the violence aside, you can see what I mean. It is a must watch. Okay, a must see, whatever you want to call it. Let's go ahead and get right into it, shall we? You'll see why she's so important. Alright. So, once again, it's a powerful story about love, jealousy, envy, and ultimately profound regret for hasty decisions and foolish, careless actions with enormous consequences. So, very dramatic. We're going to do things a bit differently in this final episode of Movies About Love. I'm going to simply read you the plot, followed by some images. Well, I kind of take that back. Tons of images that the plot doesn't necessarily cover. So, no, it's not just reading. But this is the new edition. Well, for the final episode. Just to make sure I don't have to use any of my extra time explaining the details. I can just shotgun it out right here, right now. Alright, so in AD 859, that's the time when this takes place, as the Tang Dynasty, not Tang, that's like the fruit powder, several rebel groups are established, the largest of which is the House of Flying Daggers, based in Fengtian, who battle the corrupt government that oppresses the people. Its members use special throwing daggers that always hit their targets to steal from the rich and give to the poor. That's right, Robin Hood theme. And equilibrium, bring down a corrupt government, gaining the support of the locals. 2 police officers, Leo and Jin, are ordered to kill the leader of the group within 10 days, a task that appears to be impossible, as no one knows who the leader of the House of Flying Daggers is. Pretty intense, huh? Alright, so let's go ahead and move on. Here we are from square one. So here we see Jin on the left and Leo on the right, with his sword, having a chat about the current situation with the House of Flying Daggers, the rebels. So, yeah, 2 police officers. That's the way this all begins, okay? And notice the weaponry in the background. You have these spears with large blades at the end, swords, and you'll find out later the rest. Alright, to accomplish this, Leo arrests May. We're going to go ahead and give you an explanation, and then I'll go through the details. Leo arrests May, a blind dancer who is suspected of being the previous leader's daughter. May is in the background here, by the way. Jin proceeds to assault the jail and sets May free, pretending that he is a rebel sympathizer, an act which gains May's trust. As May and Jin travel to the Flying Dagger headquarters, Leo trails behind with reinforcements. Unfortunately, May and Jin fall in love. That's the main thing about this movie. But it's easier said than shown. It's a shame not to show these things. But that's what the explanation entails right there. So here's what May looks like undercover. as a supposed blind dancer dancing for Jin. Believe me, if I went through every single little detail of this story, might as well just watch the movie. So let's kind of just go through these, okay? Jin is shown here actually getting drunk and trying to make out with Mei after she dances for him by special request. Jin was supposed to investigate, not enjoy himself, but he did it anyway. So remember, he's a police officer. Jin, he's on top of Mei here. And Mei is a dancer, for what we know so far. So as Jin starts tearing away Mei's clothing because he's drunk, Leo shows up upset about Jin's unprofessional behavior and decides to investigate by ordering Mei to perform a dance for him. This is where the jealousy begins. I guess he didn't like seeing Jin on top of Mei, so he's like, well, I want her to dance for me. I'll do the investigation since you're too drunk to do it. Here, Mei is dancing for Leo. Now, this scene right here is very well filmed. A lot of special effects, but it's pretty much the drums behind you is a game where Leo will toss like a bean and it'll hit one drum and she has to guess because she's blind which drum it is and hit the drum with those flappy pink things there that apparently have impact when tossed out to the sides. It's just something you have to see to believe. So, well, not necessarily believe, but to understand. Later, Mei gives up her cover by attacking Leo in a sword fight. So she goes from dancing to straight up grabbing a sword and attacking Leo. So obviously we know that she's a member of the House of Flying Daggers, right? Unfortunately, Mei is defeated by Leo and captured for questioning in order to interrogate her so they can locate the House of the Flying Daggers headquarters, as mentioned in the beginning. So here she loses. Leo tosses her into the pool there. Pretty good fight. Mei is shown a torture device that breaks bones. So Leo demonstrates a device on really tough wood to intimidate her into confessing. Starts breaking the wood before her, saying, hey, that's going to be your bones if you don't confess. Mei refuses to confess, so Jin and Leo both agree to form an alternative deceptive plan to have Jin pretend to save her, as I explained before, from captivity and later escape together to win her confidence. So here he is, Jin dressed up as in some ninja outfit, well, just to conceal his identity. So he beats up a bunch of guards to get to Mei. So this is just an act. Okay, this is all an act at this point. Here's Jin escaping with Mei, giving her daggers, which they took from her, pretending to swear allegiance to the House of Flying Daggers. So he's like, I want to become one of the rebels. I changed my mind, right? Here's Mei still pretending to be blind, falling in love with Jin. I hate to say that because it is a really big spoiler. You know, I really thought she was blind in the movie. But I have to say it because for the purpose of everything else that happens, might as well just get on with it, right? Falling in love with Jin as they both venture together in the forest. This is really fast forwarding, but not as much as you think. So it's just a really unique movie to where it is difficult to explain, but this is the best one that I found out, you know, like for myself through trial and error. I'm like, okay, let me just explain it this way. Out with everything. All the cards on the table, all the chips on the table. Mei forgot her daggers hanging on a tree, so Jin goes back to get them, but Mei, being left alone, is immediately attacked by multiple police officers. So there the spears are with the daggers at the end, well, not with the blades at the end of it. So she's being attacked here, and then so here's a very interesting fight conclusion because we are shown that the police went easy on Mei. No deadly strikes at all. But the viewer doesn't know that. Without the intent to kill, apparently. You'll find out later. They were pretending to attack Mei. Jin apparently saves Mei with his arrows, so he just shoots everybody with the arrows, right? From a long distance. Jin's arrows don't even hit the police officers' bodies, though. Instead, they are stuck in their clothing without any injury at all. So it was all just an act to convince May that Jin just saved her life. Tons of deception going on here, okay? That's why Jin is comfortable. That's why the police officer... You can see them getting up right here. They were all on the ground. And so Jin kind of walks off with May. You think that they're all dead, right? No, it was just an act. May is shown a place by Jin to bathe in. It's a funny scene because it's almost exactly the same as the scene from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon with Dark Cloud. But here in this movie, Jin actually secretly watches her. Watches her get naked and everything. So, you know, I like the Crouching, and it's the same actress, by the way. Same type of scene from the cave in Crouching Tiger. But May actually knows, remember, she's only pretending to be blind. That's why I had to mention it. Otherwise, you wouldn't understand the scene. I don't want to come back to it at the very end of the movie and say, hey, by the way, let's just get out with it. So pretending to be blind, but the viewers don't know that in the beginning of the movie. You don't know that. She tells Jin that she knows. Jin can't help but to get more intimate. So they both start to fall in love from this point. So, it's a great story, okay? It's just really challenging to... I challenge anybody to tell this story to somebody else. Especially with all the visuals, even with all the visuals. So here's the second time Jin throws himself on top of May. However, this time, they actually have developed a connection with each other. Remember he was drunk the first time? And she was in the dance outfit? Unlike the first time where Jin was drunk at the dance exhibition, just to make that absolutely clear, this one's a genuine one. Well, you'll find out later what I mean by that. May stops Jin because she feels she's... she doesn't know Jin enough to make love with him, okay? So that smooching scene didn't go all the way. Just so you know. They both go to sleep, and then Jin wakes up to secretly meet with Leo to discuss further plans. So he's just playing a game with her. And so is Leo. But here, as Jin and May cross some flower fields, they are suddenly attacked by the police officers. Again, only this time, there's no pretending at all. Very important scene here. The police are actually trying to kill Jin and May with deadly strikes, which frightens Jin to the core. So, you can... in this scene, Jin is like, hey, get out of here. You know, what are you doing here? And he's like, you know, once they draw blood on Jin, he's like, what are you doing? You know, we're supposed to be pretending. So the soldiers are just literally out to kill him. So they're not playing games anymore, and Jin is just freaked out. So he was forced to kill these guys. Jin is horrified and ends up killing all the attacking police officers, with May's assistants killing them with flying daggers too. So this is when things get real in the movie. You can see all these police officers here. Remember, this is like in the 1800s, almost 1900. I'm sorry, late 900 AD. So, almost 900 AD. For May, everything is real. But for Jin, now he's feeling what May has been feeling from the start. Pure fear of being killed. So, here they're surrounded by the attackers. Really intense. So Jin is absolutely horrified. He's like, these jokers aren't acting. So they were doomed until... Now it's time for a spoiler, even though we are spoiling the entire movie. Jin and May are suddenly saved by Leo's flying wooden stakes. I have to tell you who. Because it's not going to be the House of Flying Daggers. They would have stopped the whole show. But Jin and May believe it's the House of Flying Daggers that saved them, upon discovering these stakes in their necks. Now, they don't end up killing... See, that's another thing. The House of Flying Daggers, they would have killed all these officers. But they didn't. Jin and May have to finish them off. May starts to kiss Jin, as she is grateful for Jin's protection, but just like May stopped Jin before, this time Jin stops May kissing, right? Because he's in no mood to make love. He's totally shocked by what just happened, being attacked for real. So before he was smoochy wanting to make love, and May stopped him, saying, hey, I don't really know you yet. But this time he stops May because he's absolutely horrified. Remember, this was supposed to be all just an act to get to the House of Flying Daggers headquarters. Just an act to get to the headquarters. That's all it was supposed to be. So being totally freaked out, here Jin is angry, secretly meeting with Leo again to demand what happened out there. Leo explains that things are now out of his hands and that the government wants Jin and Mei captured or killed. Most likely killed. So he's really upset. And now he's confused because he's like, wait a minute. I'm being targeted too? I'm supposed to be just, luring her in to see where the headquarters is. So Jin decides that he's had enough and lets Mei go off on her own, riding on a horse. He's pretty much just jumping ship. He's like, forget this. Jin doesn't care anymore about the mission because he thinks there's no longer any point to the failed mission. Imagine that. I mean, what would you do? You're following things as planned and then all of a sudden your own people attack you for real. I mean, you feel betrayed. Mei takes a break in a bamboo forest. Remember, they're separated now. So Jin decides to ride back to her because he finally decides that he doesn't want Mei to die out there alone and that he actually does want to be with her. So Jin knows that Mei's going to get killed out there alone because they both almost died alone. So two are better than one, right? So they both end up fighting police members throwing sharp bamboo. It's like, huge trunks of it at Mei and Jin. Because Jin decides to ride back. Let me show you that again. Remember, so Jin is here right now. So they're both fighting the police members throwing the sharp bamboo at Mei and Jin with the intent to capture or kill. But maybe capture. It looks like killing because right here, Mei was about to be impaled by these sharp ground bamboo traps. But Jin quickly saves her and pulls her to safety. So out of nowhere. So yeah, these police officers actually have the intent to kill. But then we're kind of wondering, is it to kill or is it to capture? Because here, they both are trapped and about to get captured in this crazy bamboo trap where they both can't move at all. So, I mean, why capture them and then kill them? Well, that was exactly the point. So they hold hands because they thought they were going to be captured, but the police changed their mind and prepared to impale them with deadly, sharp flying bamboo. So very nice scene here. Jin's kind of smiling and like, well, okay, if this is going to be the end, at least I got to know you. He was satisfied for at least just knowing Mei. But instead of the House of Flying Daggers, the House of Flying Daggers rebels show up and kill every police officer with their flying daggers all at once. I mean literally all at once. All these daggers flying everywhere. Tons of police officers falling to the ground. No chance. It's a really nice scene. It's really cool. Nicely filmed. Alright, things are getting really interesting here because Jin is genuinely thankful at this point and has a conversation finally with the leader of the House of Flying Daggers. So there he is speaking with the leader. Everything seemed like it was going good until the leader quickly captured Jin because she knows Jin was only on a mission to expose the whereabouts of the Flying Daggers. Even though Jin changed his mind. She doesn't care. So it captures Jin. It's interesting because now Jin knows what it feels like to be deceived and captured. The same as they captured Mei with Leo and Jin planning to recapture Mei as soon as they found where the headquarters is. So this is a really big turn of events here. As a viewer, you're left like, wait a minute, what's going on? Here's where things really get interesting because the Flying Daggers capture Leo as well. So, really interesting. So here they both are with the leader of the Flying Daggers deciding what to do with the both of them. Very interesting. Wouldn't have imagined that. They finally found the headquarters. But what are they going to do now? Crazy. All of a sudden, Jin is shocked to see Mei in full Flying Dagger uniform. Check that out. It's like, whoa, what's really going on here? Alright. Now Jin knows that Mei is not blind. There's a big revelation right here. as she serves the leader some tea perfectly, as she starts to look at things with completely different behavior too. Now they know because she's starting to look at things. It's not like that blind look anymore. Here's the greatest revelation among others, of course. It appears Leo was undercover for 3 years as a police officer, when in fact he is an actual member of the Flying Daggers. So he is immediately released by the leader. You can see she's smirking there. And he's just kind of like, ugh, I have to go through this act. So imagine that. So he's been faking the whole time to Jin. And they're like buddy buddy. Isn't that crazy? All this corruption. Mei meets with Leo. Apparently they knew each other all this time. That's another revelation. They play a quick game as they did in the beginning of the movie by hitting a walnut with the flying dagger. Leo finally gets to be free with Mei, apparently. That's what it seems like. So here he is blindfolded, and she throws like this, I don't know what it is, some type of nut or dirt or something up against one of the bamboo trunks there. And he hits it precisely. It's like a little game to say, hey, kind of like a dance like they do in the wild to attract a female. A ritual. Flirting. The viewers finally now know that both Leo and Mei were both undercover for 3 years as members of the Flying Daggers. Imagine that. Leo now expects to pick up where they left off before they went undercover. This is a key part here of the whole movie. It's like, hey, what's up, babe? It's been 3 years. We good now? So, you would expect things to be good, right? It truly is a crazy scene because they immediately try their best to pick up where they left off as a couple before infiltrating the government for 3 years. Imagine how hard that must have been. So they get down and intimate a little bit. But here we go. Just like what happened to Jin in the beginning, because she didn't know Jin, right? Well, imagine knowing this guy, Leo. Here's the ultimate kicker of the entire movie, I'd say. Mei rejects Leo because she is now in love with Jin. Oh, burnt. So Leo tries to force himself on Mei and quickly is stopped by the Flying Daggers leader. How is he stopped? With a dagger in the back? What did you expect? How else is he gonna stop? She's gonna stop this guy from being on top of her like that. So here he is with the leader's dagger in his back, now ordered to return back to the police force until the dynasty is finally no more. This is the toughest part for Leo because he is now ashamed and lost. Imagine, your 3-year mission is finally accomplished, and now you're just ordered to just, hey, go back because you just shamed our force. So, the rebel force. Alright, so let's recap before the final scene here. It's always good to recap. That's the new addition here for this final episode. To make the deception more realistic, Leo and his policemen pretend to ambush the pair. Later, though, they are ambushed by real soldiers. Oh, for real by soldiers. At a secret meeting, Leo explains that the military has gotten involved and wants Jin and Mei dead. A few days later, Jin and Mei are ambushed again in a bamboo forest and almost killed, but they are saved by the House of Flying Daggers and taken to their headquarters. That's where we are right now. At this point, Mei is revealed to have been faking her blindness, and it is not the actual former leader's daughter. Furthermore, she is engaged to Leo. Engaged, imagine that. Who is revealed to be a Flying Dagger member pretending to be an officer. The Flying Daggers are not afraid of the military and are actually looking forward to an open battle. A heartbroken Leo tells Mei that he waited for her for 3 years since he went undercover. That's where we are. That's exactly where we are. And asks how she could fall in love with Jin after only 3 days, only to be told she has her heart set on Jin. So 3 days versus 3 years. Imagine that. Alright, so that's a good recap. Leo follows the leader's orders and leaves with great shame. Right here. You can see Mei's clothing has been a little bit torn off because Leo forced himself on top of Mei. Luckily, nothing further happened. So May is just as shocked as Leo that he would actually behave that way. The jealousy and rage, the envy. May is ordered by the leader to execute Jin, as he is considered an enemy of the Flying Daggers anyway. I don't think the leader knows that Jin actually did save May's life and May saved Jin's life, but it doesn't matter, does it? But it matters to them. After all, she just rejected Leo. But of course, May can't do that. We all know now that she is truly in love with Jin, who in fact saved her life for real a few times. They finally make love in a beautiful grassland, uncertain of what they'll do next. Imagine that. 2 renegades now. 2 renegades in love. I absolutely love this scene because there's no more deception. Just genuine feelings for each other. Like, no more pretending. It appears that they are both real rebels at this point and no longer want to work for anyone. They just want their freedom. And, you can see, and there's such great actors here. They're just kind of like staring into the sky like, oh my goodness. Maybe this is what life is all about. Maybe we've just been wasting our lives working for other people they're all corrupt in the end, right? War is all about corruption. Really, really good scene right here. So she dresses back up. Here, May prepares to hop on a horse and go back to the Flying Daggers. Heavy-hearted. Not sure if she is making the right choice, but feels obligated to go back nonetheless. You can see the despair in her eyes. It's just a sadness like, well, I guess that's love. Better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. Jin, who is also ready to get on a horse and head back to the police, says to May, why don't we both just live together like a carefree wind? As he actually described himself as a carefree wind in the beginning when he first met May in the forest. Well, when they went to the forest. But it didn't work, obviously, because they both know what's going to happen to them. This is a very powerful scene where Jin gets on his horse and rides away with a breaking heart. He's all heartbroken. But, by the way, the soundtrack to this movie is absolutely amazing. Highly recommend you listen to it. These tracks are phenomenal. Whoever the composer and oh my goodness, the musicians are phenomenal. And they go perfectly with all these scenes. It's really that good. It's almost like Gladiator or The Last Samurai. Those soundtracks are just, wow. Truly, truly awesome. Alright. May stands there for a minute and decides to betray the Flying Daggers, ultimately. She quickly hops on her horse and passionately hurries to chase after Jin to live together forever. Very important, this scene right here. We're really getting into the the most intense part of this movie. Very serious. All the chips are on the table at this point. As she gets closer, suddenly she is met with what appears to be a flying dagger. Singular, right? So she counters the dagger with her flying sword. She throws her sword at it. Gets it. But there are actually 2 flying daggers that appear to be one single dagger. So, guess what's going to happen next? Yeah. The dagger stabs her directly in her heart as she falls off the horse, only to realize that it was Leo who stabbed her. She tells him that she knew he would do this to her. So she's extremely sad at this point. But she knew it. She knew it. It's different when it actually happens, though. This is precisely what toxic jealousy can do to someone when they're desperate, controlling, and full of rage. It is the classic, if I can't have you, then nobody can. Possessive, deadly attitude. This is like the most sickest part of this whole movie when Leo does this. You gotta be a sore loser, right? Jin bested you, I don't care, 3 years. Give me a break. I'm in my relationship for over 20 years and you're going to complain about 3 years being separated. Cumulatively, I have about that much or more being separated, not by choice. Because I had to. especially during the army. So this guy right here, you're gonna kill May over that? Seriously, dude? After 3 years undercover, boo-hoo. I know that must have been very tough, consecutively, but my goodness, to kill, it's just, what a sore loser. You can't just, because if you really love somebody, you would just say farewell. You wouldn't kill them. Seriously, then that means it was never love at all. So that's why this movie is so intense, and I recommend people to watch it. There's so much going on. Leo holds May in his arms and begins the classic abuser speech of, "You made me do this for betraying me." I mean, how much worse can things get from May? Seriously. Leo is completely ruthless, screaming at May at this point, demanding why she betrayed him for Jin. Imagine getting yelled at with a dagger straight inside your heart. How cruel can things possibly get? Jeez, man. I mean, this is actually like the worst thing ever. Jin arrives only to find May on the ground, dying from her fatal wound, and is immediately ambushed by Leo attacking him. No, he's not done yet. Because this is called what? A passionate kill? Not only do you have to kill the person you supposedly said you loved, but you also have to kill the lover too, right? I mean, that was never love to begin with. Seriously, if you're capable of killing, that's not love. That's the complete opposite. That's just pure evil. It's a crazy fight between Jin and Leo as May is dying in the background. Crazy sword fight here. Very intense. An interesting flash cut actually shows the police officers slowly approaching the Flying Daggers headquarters to ambush the leader. Kind of interesting because the fight's beginning between Leo and Jin, and then they show the officers getting ready to ambush the leader. It's like two wars are going on. Okay. Then we see May beginning to fade away permanently here. There's a dagger in her heart. It's not looking good for her. So she's probably just getting enough strength probably to say one of her last words if the fight ends or something. As the fight continues, it suddenly begins to snow a lot. This is very interesting, because then it becomes blood on snow. Very, very interestingly filmed here. Alright, here we go. Here you can see the first blood of several more deadly wounds to come as they slash each other with their swords. It's very intense. It's just nothing but rage versus... we'll describe it right here. This is why this movie is so intense. Two men fighting for the love of one woman. Leo, who turned into an abusive murderer, as Jin turned into a hero who fell in love. It's good versus evil. Honor versus dishonor. Very intense here. I mean, they both have the same training, for crying out loud. Who's going to win? I don't know, you tell me. Only difference here is that Leo has the advantage because he is a member of the House of Flying Daggers. Which you'll find out later why that's important to know. This fight scene is perhaps the most intense fight scene I've ever seen in a movie. It's a must-see. Jin and Leo slash each other and stab each other with neither one of them giving up. Pretty serious wounds going on. But they do part from each other, preparing for their final moves. Jin ready with his sword, and Leo as he prepares for another throwing dagger. So, yeah, this part right here is interesting because, like I just said, Jin, he's a swordsman and martial artist, with police training. But Leo, he's a member of the House of Flying Daggers. Of course he's going to pull his dagger out because he knows he has the advantage now. But all of a sudden, May rises for one last time, ready to pull the dagger out of her heart to use against Leo. Jin begs May not to do it because she'll bleed to death if she does. if she pulls the dagger out of her heart. I mean, but she's kind of like a lost cause at this point anyways, right? So at the same time, May throws her dagger straight from her heart. Leo pretends to throw his, but decides not to, so he fakes it. Leo decided to not kill May, although he pretty much did, or Jin, while May's dagger continues to fly. So May's dagger's flying. Here we go. I have to explain this because it's very significant after the entire movie. May's dagger blocks the drop of blood that flew from Leo's pretend throw. So he pretended to throw it, but a single drop of blood flew off of Leo's dagger as he pretended to throw it. So in other words, Leo's dagger wouldn't have killed Jin even if he threw it, because May's dagger would have blocked it. So, but here's the important part. May's final dagger throw was strictly to protect Jin's life. May didn't want to kill Leo in the end. She knew that Leo was going to most likely kill Jin because that dagger was going to be too fast to block or to dodge. So that's why May threw her dagger to save Jin's life, give him one last opportunity. So it's really interesting. It's really interesting because in the end, May didn't want to be a killer. She just wanted to be a protector. And this is similar to Jin's story. He ended up becoming a hero, a protector. So the movie ends with Jin holding May in his arms as Leo walks away heavily wounded in the snow, stumbling upon himself, by the way. So we don't know if he survives or not, by the way. And here, Jin sings to May the same song May sang to him when they first met in the dance scene, as May dies in Jin's arms. Really intense, really emotional here. All right. So, here are the lyrics to the song in case anyone wants to know, because it was sung in Mandarin, which is a variation of Chinese. Now, this was sung by May in the beginning of the movie, and then here we have Jin singing it to her in the end. So it literally begins and ends with this song. So let's go over the lyrics. Song review time. A rare beauty from the north, she's the finest lady on earth. A glance from her, the whole city falls. A second glance leaves the whole nation in ruins. There exists no city or nation that has been more cherished than a beauty like this. This says a lot, this song. Because in the end, the love of a woman, the genuine love of a woman, and I will also say the genuine love of a man, true love is the only thing worth living for. Everything else, I mean, it's just nothing. It doesn't matter. So I like the middle part here. The whole city falls. Because in the end, this is what we're supposed to care about as human beings. Love. True love. Not that silly pretend love. Leaves a whole nation in ruins. It just means that what's the point of a nation and a city without love? You know, it's kind of a reverse structure here. This song is very well put together. Very concise. Doesn't have to be long. So a final recap. Leo tries to attack May, but their superior, Nia, that's the leader of the House of Flying Daggers. I forgot to mention her name, Nia. Throws a dagger into Leo's back and reassigns them to new missions, separating them. Shortly after May is told to execute Jin, she frees him instead, but refuses to desert the house to join him. Later, May changes her mind and rides after Jin, but is ambushed by Leo, who casts 2 daggers at her. May manages to deflect one of them, while the other pierces her and seemingly kills her. At this point, Jin discovers Leo and the two of them fight, but their skills are too evenly matched. Precisely, that's what I said. A raging blizzard, oh, it's a blizzard, gotcha, falls upon them while the military approaches the house. Finally, with both men badly wounded and exhausted, Leo pulls Nia's dagger out of his back Oh, so he left it in his back. That's the dagger he used. And because I wonder where he got the other two that he threw at May. They don't explain that. And threatens to use it on Jin. May reappears and threatens to pull the dagger out of her breast, well, her heart, and throw it at Leo, which would cause her to bleed to death. But Jin begs her to save herself. After several tense moments, Leo decides to pretend to throw his dagger. Right. Intended to die by May's dagger while sparing Jin. Oh, I get it. So he was going to accept May's dagger to kill him, but he decided to spare Jin at the same time. That is very interesting. There's literally 3 different things going on at the same time, and it's pure dynamic. It's just wow. That's whoever wrote this story, especially the action scene. That's quite the twister. However, May attempts to use her dagger to intercept Leo's dagger in flight. The result is that neither Leo nor Jin dies, but only May. That goes along with the song. In the end, Leo stumbles away in guilt, while Jin cries over May's body, singing a song praising her as a rare beauty. That's why I wanted to read the song lyrics for you guys, translated lyrics, you're welcome. The likes of which he will never see again. Yeah, talk about rare. Now she's extinct. Whether the house won against the military is left ambiguous. Yeah, that's why it was interesting when they showed that scene. I'm like, why are they showing the police officers encroaching on the headquarters? And they didn't even show what happened. So did they kill Nia, the leader of the House of Flying Daggers? Did they succeed? Or apprehending her? Did the dynasty fall? You know, did it fall or not? You don't get answers to any of these. Did Leo die as he stumbled away from with his wounds? And what about Jin? He was badly wounded too. Did he eventually die? I mean, it's a blizzard, for crying out loud. You can't be sitting there holding May forever. You have wounds to tend to. And who's going to help you now? Because he's been kicked out of the police, marked for death by the government. House of Flying Daggers ordered May to kill him. None of these get answered. It's just so sad, this whole story. It's like everybody becomes a rebel, you know, a renegade. So let me see if there's anything in the chat before I close up this shop. I really recommend this movie. It's absolutely amazing. So yeah. What a final finale for a last episode of Movies About Love. It's been really awesome. All right, we're good to go. So hope you guys really enjoy this final finale of Movies About Love. Lots of hard work went into this series. I gotta say, literally hours total for each one. I'd say a few hours preparation for each one of these episodes. They get really intense with so many slides, so much explanation. But I do it because nobody else is going to do it on YouTube, for that matter. They're not going to explain the whole story to you, or most of it, for that matter. So I hope you guys really appreciate it, and you guys come back to it sometime. If not, just go watch the movie and remember this review. Because I really enjoyed making them. So much love to everybody out there. Another final show coming up soon, because we are in the final episodes of all these series. So stay tuned.